Ooh, okay. Hello, everybody. It's your boy, Skinny Peanut. No, it's me. It's just Corn. How's it going, guys? It occurred to me that I forgot to do a recap stream for last week. So, that's what we're doing today. Kind of just getting it out of the way. So if the analysis isn't super spot on, sorry, I'm pretty tired. But I'll do my best. Just to give a bit of a breakdown, share my thoughts, opinions, the good stuff, you know, the huge. And wow, we had honestly, week 5 kind of spicy. Couple pretty cool wins coming out this week. Games were, I would say, pretty interesting, and of course while we do this we're gonna end up probably figuring out the deranged tech of the week. So we'll just get right into it. I think the first game, we're just gonna kind of go in order of like what I saw. So first, I believe, was we can kind of see the results here. We got, of course, some, some wins in the top echelons, but also we got a couple, there's no shutouts in this season, which is very exciting, and I love that. With Big Honey taking actually his second win, which is super awesome, and even Jace of Spades taking his first W this season, which is great. But we're just gonna get into the games here. I don't remember what the matches were. I'll just look at the schedule. Alright, whatever. Who cares? I think this is the... Okay, we'll just do the first one here. This is a pretty fun one. This was Mox versus JC. And already looking at the teams, it's pretty clear to me that there is almost, like, two different styles here, which is really cool. JC's kind of showing this like super aggressive team comp with things like Ogerpon Fire, Meowscarada, Quaquaval. Like, those are so strong. And, she has like 3 different combinations of a really good Firewater Grass core, in my opinion. Meowscarada is super flexible with Protean. Honestly, a bit of a monster as well. The Meloetta's, I think, a really cool pick. One that I feel like was... I don't know if it's underutilized this season, but I feel like, it can shine really brightly if given the opportunity, which is something really cool. It's also our only source of sleep this season because we played with the OU sleep ban. Which, I don't know if we're going to keep that around for next season. And then this Golurk is really cool. Golurk, kind of just a really cool bulky mon. Still outputs a lot of damage actually with like that no guard to guarantee some hits, and Iron Fist actually giving it a lot of added juice because it gets like 3 different punch attacks, which is really kind of neat. And over from Mox, we got a couple of big all-stars, Goldango and Landorus Therian, of course, being just classic mons. Blastoise here being a really good spinner, and just kind of a bulky wall mon in general. With his kind of new signature, a Basculin. I would suspect this is probably like Banded Terra Water. That's been something he's been really enjoying this season after picking it up kind of partway through. And he's brought out a Dragalge, I assume to just be a source of some poison damage, soak T-spikes, such like that, and still output a decent amount of pressure. It does answer Ogerpon really well, which is kind of cool. And last but really not least, the Screamtail, which looks pretty damn good into Quaquaval, and honestly, I'm not sure what else. It's sort of got a rough spot. Like, it's here to do one thing and one thing only, I feel like, but let's get into the game here. I'm gonna set it to slow just so I have a little bit more time. Quaquaval into the Landorus Therian lead is really interesting. Landorus Therian going for that U-turn right off the bat. Now, Screamtail does come in. Quaquaval, I think, just gets off an Aqua Step here. Yeah, getting that +1 speed, which is kind of neat. Although, I don't think it ever wants to stay in front of this Jigglypuff. Totally not Jigglypuff. As T-Wave comes out here, I assume he was trying to cripple the Quaquaval here, which actually makes a lot of sense. Being able to cripple that Quack is such a big deal here. Goldango is on the switch in front of this Meloetta. Meloetta does take that Make It Rain pretty nicely. As a Shadow Ball comes out and actually chunks for almost the same amount of damage, and actually rolls the Spadef drop, which is huge here. That really forces that switch right back into Screamtail, which is a bit odd to me, as Shadow Ball is the same move. You know, it's clicked the second time. I don't like that switch, to be honest. I would have brought out something else, maybe that Blastoise to Sogen hits, but this now, fuck, Screamtail is now down to so low HP. Sure, rocks are up, which is nice, but it's in a weird spot now. Landorus Therian comes out, Shadow Ball, I mean, there's literally no reason to not click Shadow Ball at this point. Rolling the Spadef drop 3 times here, which is incredible. Crunch comes out, picks up the KO, but I feel like this Meloetta actually did its job here. Really brought down a couple of those big sweepers down to very low HP. Screamtail down to almost nothing. Goldango down to just above 50. There's the Rapid Spin to clear the rocks at the +1 speed, actually, which is really nice. That guarantees it. I think it's now faster than everything in the team. Ice Spitter comes out, I assume expecting the Landorus switch, as the Moxie boost kicks in, giving that +1 attack. Oh, okay. Here's the Dragalge. Ice Spitter does come out, and after the Moxie boost, that's just a KO. The Moxie's now at +2. Oh, is this really how this game goes? There's the Landorus to pick up the -1 attack. U-turn does come out here. Interesting, it is faster, but I suspect it could just be a choice. Scarf Landorus. Blastoise comes out in front of the Duck. It takes an Ice Spinner pretty well, actually. 23% at a +1 from the Duck. That's not too bad, actually, but Close Combat does come out here. Picks up that kill. Oh, man. Rolls that +1 back up with that Moxie. This is now looking really dire. You know, even at -1 defense. Well, it's going to be rough. The Basculin does come out. Terra Waters goes for the Aqua Jet. Gets some good chip there. 38% is not too shabby, but Aqua Step comes out, gets the boosted speed, and does about 70%. No, I don't know. Second Aqua Jet comes out, showing that this is definitely banded. As the Aqua Step finishes it off, and now it's at +3 speed. This guarantees that it's going to be outspeed that Landorus. So they're really, that's sort of it. I suspect if Mox had gone for maybe a Wave Crash, it could have worked out a little bit better, but, you know, the Wave Crash would have been a little bit more immediate damage, would have still brought it down to around the same amount of HP with the Aqua Step, but I think the second Aqua Step would have killed regardless, but, oh man, that's just the game here. The Duck is ending at, what, +4, +3 attack, and +4 or 5 speed here. So this Duck really, I don't know what else to really say. The Quaquaval was just positioned really well. I think the big issue was the lack of controlling this Quaquaval earlier and more efficiently really just kind of crippled this game from the start. The Meloetta kind of was just allowed to sit there and just get free damage off on a lot of things. Definitely, I think letting the Screamtail just take 2 Shadow Balls for kind of no reason was really bad. But otherwise, that's, you know, this is a pretty tight game. That was kind of my main issue. Yeah, no, that's sort of it. I think if Mox, you know, maybe assess like, hey, maybe I should. I believe actually, you know, this Screamtail was a very good counter into the Quaquaval, but like, just letting it take 60-70% damage for no reason was kind of the killer. I think if maybe he brought out like Blastoise or something to try and reposition, I think there definitely was a better answer. I would have even taken Dragalge to fish for some poison, because then you could have played the long game, you know, try to just pivot stall it. But even then, it's just his roster. I think his team this week maybe wasn't best suited for it. But yeah, no, I think if I had any criticism, that's kind of my main one, really. But honestly, JC's draft is just so difficult, I feel like, to play into. And, I mean, letting the Duck setup was sort of free real estate. So I'm hoping Mox is able to kind of reassess that a little bit. I think his next week, well, his current week is me, so that game's going to be a shit show. For one or both of us. But definitely there won't be a duck sweep in that game, I'll tell you that much for sure. But very well done. JC actually ending 5-0, which is crazy good. The only loss was at Meloetta, but honestly Meloetta gave its life for a damn good cause, really cracking that game wide open. So that is such a good ending for week 6 for JC. Good, well done. We're gonna queue up the next game here, which is funny. It's me, and I'm gonna drag in one of the other admins. Get Ventus in here. Hey, you.
Hello, hello.
You're not allowed to say racisms yet.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Why would I ever say
I don't know, man.
begin with?
I don't know.
Okay.
Tell that to Haku, but I feel like he's also just a cold-blooded racist. But anyway. I've only done one game so far as on the recap, but it was the easiest one to recap because it was just, why did Screamtail take 70% for no reason?
Oh, I see. It's
Yeah.
that game.
No,
Yeah.
that one was easy. It was fucking Screamtail shouldn't have taken damage.
Yeah, I talked to Mox about that game.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate.
Literally, that was the only big criticism I had. I was just like, if the Screamtail is here to deal with the Quaquaval, let's preserve it, not let it take 70 in front of a Meloetta and then die.
Yeah.
So I hope he takes that one a bit to heart. But also, it was a tough matchup. I feel like I think a comment that could be made too, now that I think about it, is like his team may have been a little bit too narrow in his flexibility, because not a lot of his team wanted to stand in front of the Quaquaval. I felt like maybe the Blastoise would have been okay.
Yeah, potentially.
But I don't know what his sets were. Because I think leaving the job of dealing with the Quaquaval to one Mon could have been really bad.
Yeah, for sure.
Sort of contrary to what Haku has done this season, where he preps like 6 things to deal with one Mon. In a way, I think leaving only one thing to deal with it is, like, the one thing defensively to answer a threat sweeper is not great.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's also a
having,
bit
like,
rough.
maybe 2, especially if you know it's going to really get out of control. Like, Quaquaval just snowballs on accident.
Yeah.
I think having something else with Thunder Wave or Will-O-Wisp or some kind of like status effect like that would have really paid dividends in that game. I was even thinking, like, because he brought Dragalge that week, I think Dragalge getting off like a Toxic could have been really good, because you could play a little bit more of a slow-paced kind of stall out the Quaquaval, because you're going to be beating out its leftovers, so it's not recovering very much. And then you could potentially just pick up the kill with the Basculin Terrawater Choice Band, because I think Wave Crash would have done like 70 to 80%. And with like a turn or two of Toxic Ship, it would have got the kill, yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely probably best to consider a few more options.
Yeah, really good point there, actually. And this is something that I want to have just out in the commentary space for people who are, still learning. If the newer players end up watching this, yeah, having multiple defensive checks for the major threats on your opponent's team is very important. Like, having one defensive, counter is obviously good, but if you only have one, that's like a lot of pressure on that mon, especially if you need it to answer something else as well. So having multiple defensive Pokemon that can kind of, come in and take hits from like the major threats is really good.
For sure, yeah. I think kind of good practice is sort of like 2 defensive, like really defensive mons to kind of anchor your team, paired with like a couple other, maybe a couple sweepers, maybe a wall breaker. I think this is probably detailed in like one of the docs that are we have floating around.
Yeah.
But I think definitely having at least 1 to maybe 3 like defensive, like really good defensive anchors on a team. 1 is not great, but if you're playing like a hyper aggressive strat, you could kind of get away with it.
Yeah.
But like 2, I feel like is a nice spot, and maybe 3 if you're trying to even play a slower paced game, could be really good.
Right.
But let's move on, as we have 6 more games, and here's number 2. Um, this was me versus Siege, and I
This
felt like
is an exciting one.
I fucking hated this game. Jesus Christ, I was so mad. Um, I was joking with Siege, like, hey bro, let me 6-0 so I can, like, get back into top 3 or something. And he's like, nah, I'll make you work for it, and I called him a bitch. But I also told him, like, I was like, you know, it'd be funny, I'll let you pick 2 of my things. So we sat after work, we rolled a d12, and he landed on Trapinch and Petulant. That's the only reason why these are even here.
I see.
But also, Trapinch coincidentally was potentially a check to Cinderace. But we'll just kind of get into it. Kind of going over the teams. My team's a mess. But I felt like it was kind of a comfortable core for me. It has, you know, Gliscor, Kleavor as like some of my two favorite things so far this season. Gliscor being like probably my best wall and hazard setter. Ogerpon Water is also here because it's bestie. I love Ogerpon. It's probably my favorite Pokemon,
Yeah.
maybe of all time.
Also, just a really good Pokemon. Very strong.
Oh yeah. It's a hard check, like a hard wall to Feraligatr with Water Absorb, and astoundingly can take hits from most other things that he is bringing today. The only thing would maybe be like a bug stabbed U-turn off of Cinderace, or that Tornadus getting a like a Bleak Wind or something. But like otherwise, it kind of is okay to look at any of the other 4 Mons and kind of just go to town.
Yeah.
Kleavor kind of just a very good Mon in general. I mean, Choice Scarf Kleavor has kind of been the thing I took almost all season basically.
Yep.
Stone Axe is a really good move. Sharpness is a stupid ability.
Free rocks with good damage. Hard to complain.
I sure do love free add-ons, you know. I did touch on Trapinch a bit. With Arena Trap, I can, you know, lock in a thing. And then funny math. This is like a low attack invested Trapinch. Its Earthquake would have killed Cinderace at only like 36 attack investment.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that a little bit beforehand.
Yeah, I sure do love base 100 attack off of a baby.
Yeah.
That's so stupid. It's awesome.
It's 2 points for a reason and not 1.
True, true. And you know, the Petulant, of course, I mentioned was on this team mostly for the bit, but also I believe this is my very defensively spec'd Pecha. Meant to kind of play a slower paced game because I felt like I could kind of control the flow of the game. I was wrong, and we'll see why in a minute. And then last but certainly not least is my Cramrat, because it's just the funniest guy. Look at him. Look at that guy. He's awesome.
Little surf guy.
Dude, Petron's the best dumbass fucking like 3-pointer I've ever 2-pointer, I think. 4.
4, I think.
4?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's my favorite little dumbass. Siege, and we'll talk about Siege's team for a second. Here's brought Cinderace. I mean, it's his best. It's arguably the best hazard control mon in the game because it just gives them back to you. Deoxys Defense has been a kind of a favorite of his. He did mention to me before that he's been trying to get the Cosmic Power, Stored Power set off the ground, and I'm like, that's mental. Try it.
Oh yeah.
Really interesting to see though. Like that's kind of a cool like build for it. Just be very, very defensive, and then just let Stored Power do all the talking.
Yeah. Defensive Store Power sweeping is always going to be like pretty good, especially on Deoxys Defense, where I mean it's got Cosmic Power and not Calm Mind, so you're not weak to physical.
Right.
And you can just let your the base power of Stored Power do the work.
Exactly, because I think it gets up to like if you're at +3/+3, that's like a base 80 now move or something. 80
no,
and
it's
100.
It's more than that because it's if you're at
it's 20 per
total,
thing. Right.
It's 20 per, so you're at 140.
40? Yeah, that's so much pressure. That's so scary, and you don't take damage
even no
either.
investment. That's still gonna do a big chunk to like a lot of things, right?
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
And he's bringing on a couple other, a couple new faces. I think this, I believe, is the first week he's brought out Tornadus Therian. Really cool special mon. I don't know really what else it does besides regenerate and not die, and then output a lot of damage and then leave. And frankly, I don't know what his set was this week, so I can't tell you what else it was. Dragapult is coming back. It's kind of been his mainstay along with his Feraligatr. which I believe is still just the setup sweeper set. I think with like D-Dance, Sheer Force, probably Life Orb. And he's rounding out with Fable. I assume with either Magic Guard or Unaware. Probably Magic Guard, because that kind of checks Pecharunt in a way, but also it doesn't because Pecharunt's a Pecharunt and it don't matter.
Yeah, I would assume Magic Guard to absorb Toxic from things, but I mean, hard to say.
Yeah, I don't remember either. This was played like a week ago. Anyway, we'll just get right into the game here. Speed to slow, too. I lead Cleavor here in front of the Dragapult, kind of thinking I can just click Stone Axe, but then I'm like, maybe I just switch into Pecharunt here, because I felt like that was going to be pretty good. He goes for a Dance. I go for the Protect, trying to read a Dragon Darts, but I switch into Gliscor here, thinking I can live that Phantom Force. I take only 40. I do live to hit. My Toxic Orb does proc. As he goes for the sub, and I forgot what I do here. I knock off, and it breaks. My thought was, if I could get the knockoff, I could just probably like two-shot it. As Phantom Force goes again, I do click knockoff. It misses, unfortunately, because he disappears. And I didn't know this. I Protect, and I didn't know Phantom Force goes through Protect, so I just looked stupid.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, whoops.
I think regardless of the Phantom Force here, like even if it was a different attack, I think I would have hit an attack on that turn anyway, because you know that you live, right? You know that you survive it.
Yeah, my thought was I could have stalled, recovered a little bit further, and then just started spamming the knockoff.
That's fair.
I think this turn I went for it. Yeah, there. So knockoff its leftovers.
Yeah, 54, good amount. And yeah, so you've just been a really big fan of this physical Dragapult.
Yeah, D-Dance Fizz Pult is super cool.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a lot of special like specs or just like special Dragapult.
Yeah, he's played very heavily into the physical. I missed that Stone Axe there, which actually I think ruined the game for me.
That's very unfortunate.
And I only now clear this sub, and Phantom Force comes out. I'm Scarfed, so I'm locked into Stone Axe anyway. And I'm like, whatever, I'll stay in. And I thought I could maybe live a hit, but I forgot at a +2 Dragapult just kind of kills anything.
Yeah.
I sent out the Trap Inch thinking, like, what if there's a chance? And then he goes for the darts, and I'm like, damn, fuck. Okay. And here comes the Cram. And I'm like, I don't think there's any hope. And then I lived.
This has got to be the funniest survival of my life.
I was not ready for it. I was like, there's no fucking way. And Siege, I think if he had switched or something, this wouldn't have happened, but with the Endure, we get the Gulp Missile KO mid-Dragon Dart.
Yeah, only take the first hit, get the Gulp Missile, and then you live, because there's no second hit.
Yeah, exactly. And this actually kind of saves the game for me, which is fantastic. Here, I thought he was going to go for like an Electric move, so I'm like, fuck it, Altera. But it didn't work. And he just went for the clean knockoff. As Pecharunt does come out here, I'm backed into a corner, like, real, with only Pecharunt and Ogerpon. As I get my Toxic off, but I lose my Black Sludge for my recovery, which does put me on a bit of a timer. I do get the Confuse there, which is really nice, as I feel confident enough to, I just kind of went for the Nasty Plot, gambling that he just kind of loses the dice rolls on his Confusion, but he actually gets the Bleak Wind, and I do take a decent 34%.
Yeah, but the Bleak Wind did a lot less than I expected.
Yeah, this is a like max HP, and I think heavy Spidef Pecha variant. So I just went really defensive this week.
Yeah, yeah.
I do get the Tox off, gets confused. He actually rolls the -1 spat with the Moonblast, which actually was very upsetting. And I think he rolls it again. It's a piece of shit. He does go for the switch here. I land the Hex. Doesn't do very much, but I mean, it's also no longer boosted. And Siege actually forgot that Pecharunt's a Ghost type and takes the free 50 on the missed high jump kick, which I think actually saved the game for me.
Yeah, I think without that, yeah, this might have been
because the Pyro Ball definitely would have like probably killed me, and he actually dies to his own Confusion, which is funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And here he's actually going for the Calm Mind Deoxys defense, and I'm just kind of just throwing my Toxics just to fish for my Poison Puppeteer procs. In kind of a desperation move, like I don't have a lot else I can do here. He does get the store power off, he fights through his confusion, gets the KO, and I have one Mon left. And yeah, this is dangerous, but I trust Bestie.
Fortunately, it's Ogerpon Wellspring, and you have Focus Energy.
It's Ogerpon Wellspring crit.
Yeah.
We lived that sword power at 40, or taking only 40, as the crit cudgel doesn't kill for some reason, as he goes for the Calm Mind.
Yeah, he
not sure
probably could have gone
was.
for a sword power there, huh?
Yeah, if he'd gone for sword, I would have gotten down to like 20%.
Mm-hmm. And then Horn Leech comes out. This is an easy KO.
Yeah, with the crit, I heal back all the way up to full. And here's this very injured.
Oh. I forgot this Clefable was not at full health. But yeah, missing the high jump kick was definitely a big mistake there.
Yeah, that may have been the turnaround turn for me. And look, man, I'll take a win with an asterisk.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought this game was going to be a little bit closer than it ended up being, or like a little bit easier than it ended up being. I think I was a little bit too confident, and I think definitely missing the Stone Axe and that substitute spelled the end for me, but him clicking the high jump kick just sent it back in my favor. It's like those moments when you watch like pro chess, right, and they have the advantage tracker.
Yeah.
The high jump kick was like the tracker just sliding all the way back into my favor.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, that one play gave me an actual chance at the W here. Petron, like, I think between these two, it was like they had most of the kills, and Cram technically had one, which is really funny. But oh my god, that was a really tight game. I was shaken a little bit after that one, I'm not gonna lie. Siege played that masterfully. It was really well done. Literally only one bad turn. And
yeah,
that was it.
Yeah, that was very well played, yeah.
So, really good shit. Have fun with that this week. I think he's your opponent.
Yeah, I get to play against this team this week. I'm not looking forward to, there's just so many really, like, I mean, obviously there's a bunch of huge threats. Tornadus, Dragapult, Alligator, Cinderace, and then, like, the part that I'm really not looking forward to is getting through his defensive core. These 2 Reggies and Deoxys defense. I don't know what I'm doing against that, man.
Even with, like, a Specs or Saluna, I'm pretty sure, like, Registeel won't give a fuck.
Oh, yeah, no. Registeel takes, like, 70% maximum from, like, a +1.
Yeah, and then he can just go for an Amnesia and just forget you're there.
I'm just like, yeah, I'm looking at this match and I'm like, please don't, just don't take it.
Honestly, the Deoxys, like the Cosmic Power Deoxys D, I think just kills you. Like,
yeah, that's like the horrifying part about that draft. Like, any one of the defensive ones, even Clefable, if I let any one of those Pokemon get out of hand, it's just over.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Like, even Clefable, because even Clefable has Cosmic Power, Sword Power, right?
Yeah.
And I've played against that on ladder, and if they're unaware, it's over. It's just done.
Yeah. He'll just be like, what stats? I don't know what those are.
Yeah.
And he can still just pass you your hazards and be like, well, I don't give a shit about them here.
Yeah, and Cinderace just makes it so hard to play against a defensive core like that, because you can't set hazard. You can't set too many hazards, because then they just switch to your side.
Yeah.
You can't set, like, your screens to, race them in the defense, because
he'll just take them.
You can core change your screens.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's this is like such a threatening draft, and it's been played very well so far, I think.
For sure. I think what's also scary for you is, like, I think Cinderace actually is sort of a hard answer to your main hazard setter, which I think is the Hisuian Samurott, because he can just go for a banded high jump kick and you die.
Yeah, for sure, right? Libero HJK is really strong into well, Samurott for one, and also Ursaluna, right?
Yeah, can just
Um,
get a couple stray kills with that for sure.
yeah, and Pyro Ball's good into like at least two or three other things on my team. So
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be
I
really
yeah,
interesting. So have fun.
I will. I
I
will.
didn't. I was sweating.
I'm
So
sure I will be too. So yeah,
but good on Siege. You know, really putting the pressure this game.
yeah,
Fuck you,
definitely.
Dragapult. Fuck, I hate this thing.
Really good draft. I mean, the draft's gotten better with the trades. Over the
For
course
sure.
of the season.
And you know, with trades closed as of last week, I think Friday.
Yeah, the end of
I
week
think he can
6.
definitely ride this team to the very top. Only got a couple more games left for the season, but I think he can make it. He has a good shot at top 8.
Yeah, I think so.
So we'll see how your game goes. But I will be right back. I'm gonna get a drink as I queue up the next game here.
All right. Take a short break.
Alrighty, and we're back. And with the game of Blue Black versus Kick No Box ready. This is a fun one, I think, if I remember correctly. Kick kind of bringing a pretty familiar team comp here. Galarian Slowking, or not Galarian, hello. Laurel Slowking paired with a Baxcalibur for that juicy Snow Core. He's brought out the Greninja again. It's been a bit since I think we've seen it. And Vigavolt here, I think for that web support, could be really useful to slow down a few of these big threats. His Grimmsnarl again makes another appearance with that Prankster support, and his Phalanx. God, I fucking love this guy. I don't know. I think it's Defiant. And if he really gets rolling, this can just win the game. It did last week, so not impossible for it to do a repeat performance. And as for Blue Black, he's brought out Brian Hands once more. This thing's just a monster. Like, you know you're a broken mon when you're really good in singles and really good in doubles. And this thing is that. It's just so good.
Yeah, it's just really consistent, right? Like, it kind of does, like, one thing, but it's really good at that one thing, and you know it's going to be always solid no matter when you take it.
Yeah, sometimes you don't need to do multiple things. Sometimes you just gotta be good at one. And, yeah. Iron Hands really is good at one thing, and that's punching shit.
Yeah.
Hisuian Lilligant is here, paired with the Torkoal here, I suspect as like a Victory Dance sweeper with Chlorophyll. And in the sun, this thing will outspeed just about everything and its mother, and the new Subaru fucking Crosstrek. Like, this thing will just can clean up games. It's on its own. And with the sun support paired with that Cerulege, Cerulege could also just clean up a game on its own with weak armor and like weakness policy. Good lord. And rounding out his team kind of defensively, Grilmora is back as his hazard control, and his Ting Lu. It's just Ting Lu. It's really good. It's probably like one of the bulkiest things in the game right now. And look, there he is. Look at that guy.
Yep.
And we'll get right into it as I set speed to slow so I have time to breathe. Leads are Glamora, and Slowking. And actually, I'm gonna let you kind of take over because I'm gonna eat a sandwich.
Sure, yeah. So this is a very problematic Pokemon. Glimora is a very problematic Pokemon for Kick because one, he has no poison type on his team. So any Toxic Spikes from Toxic Debris are here to stay. Two, the Baxcalibur does not want to switch in on Stealth Rocks because that's 25% chip. And if it's not Heavy Duty Boots, that's a hard timer for it. There's many times it can come in and out. So trading the Glimora for 2 layers of not removable Toxic Spikes here is totally fine. Goes into Torkoal. Try to get the... I'm going to ignore the fact that he clicked Stealth Rock there.
I love Nothing Burger turn 4.
I'm going to ignore the fact that he had Will-O-Wisp there. Kick with Chilly Reception for the Snow Boost. Goes back into backs. And like I said, 25% from the Stealth Rocks is kind of a big hurt. Glurak goes out into the Tinglu, which is kind of bold considering that this Baxcalibur could have hit an ice move there. Red card forces out Vikavolt. This red card has kind of been like a staple for Blue Black, like red card Tinglu. I feel like he's run it almost every week.
Yeah, it's kind of a pet set for him.
Yeah, it's just like a one-time phaser plus, bulky hazard setter. The Bug Buzz here, the Torkoal has eject button actually, and the Throat Spray comes out from the Vikavolt, which leads to this somehow. I don't understand why Vikavolt survives a Solar Blade.
I have no idea. The math says otherwise.
It's just destiny, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
Bug Buzz picks up an instant kill and gets decent chip onto his Iron Hands. Not bad. 21% after the Drain Punch. And yeah, getting rid of this Lilligant, really big deal for the matchup here, as there's no longer that strong Grass Tap to threaten the Slowking or the Greninja anymore. We'll see the Grimmsnarl come out here, putting up screens. This is pretty much seems like a pretty standard set for the Grimmsnarl. Phalanx comes out, Heavy Duty Boots. Unfortunately, we get the Crypt Play Rough here.
That was so sad.
Which is extremely unfortunate. Critting through the screen and the -1 from the parting shot is just such a tragedy. And now we get the Glaive Rush. Decides to Volt Switch out here instead of going for the KO, which I kind of question.
Yeah, I feel like he could have confidently just gone for like a close combat or something.
Yeah, even just hitting like a Drain Punch or the
Drain
Play
Punch
Rough
would have
right
done
again.
it.
The Play Rough again would have done it as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get Sterilage down to Sash on the switch. And Bax will die to the Toxic. And then Greninja comes in, which is slower than this Sterilage, but it doesn't matter because they're still the Reflect Up. Ice Beam does actually do enough here with the Protean. Guess it wasn't that much to begin with, but yeah, this is probably Spec Protean.
I believe so.
This is the boldest Tinglu switch of my life because
I would not have done that.
It's Ice Beam. Friend, it's Ice Beam. Yeah, Wisely switches back to the Grimmsnarl here. Overheat does pick up the KO. But Sun turns are ending here. There's still 2 more turns to Reflect, which is not useful against this Pokemon, but
Comes that
nice
overheat.
little crit on the Overheat at -2.
That's kind of fun. Scald comes in, deals 49%, not too bad. Really good chip. Kind of signaling we're getting to the conclusion of this game here.
Yeah, this is a really tight end game here. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the. I'm not sure what the rest of the Slowking set is. I'm kind of curious. But we see a Drain Punch come out, which is not going to do much damage at all. Scald does not pick up a burn. and now we will see the toxic damage and the volt switch come out, which will pick up this KO. I don't think that crit mattered.
That crit was so unnecessary.
Yeah, I don't believe that mattered. It may have, because this is, I mean, obviously Iron Hand's a physical attacker, but yeah, the Ice Beam is gonna be enough. So, very close game. I think it may have been possible for Blue Black to stall out just a bit more to get the toxic turns up. Unfortunately, kind of throwing away the remaining health on the Ting Lu, and also losing the Lilligant right away was very unfortunate.
Yeah, for sure. If he was able to preserve Lilligant, this game would have been completely different. I can see this actually being like a 3 or 4 4-0 in Blue Black's favor if Lilligant was allowed to pick up more than 0 kills.
Yeah, and that's just a matter of like Vikavolt unexpectedly surviving there. I don't think I think it's like not a terrible assumption to think that a Vikavolt at 38%, I believe it was, would get KO'd by a Solar Blade. But yeah, I mean, sometimes that's just how it is. You know, Pokemon. Sometimes you roll low on the damage. Your opponent lives at 1 HP.
For sure. Dude,
Yeah.
I love RNG game. And I think in a way, this is karma for my game against Kick earlier in the season, where I lived because his Fling rolled the second lowest damage outcome.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I think this is his karmic justice with that Solar Blade rolling. I believe it was the second lowest possibility it could have.
Yeah, I believe it was a low roll, right? Yeah. So.
But wow, this game was down to the absolute wire. Really well
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, being on that fast timer because of the toxic spikes really, really kind of hinders the game plan, right? Especially on a team that wants to be pivoting out a lot with things like Grimmsnarl and Slowking. Like, yeah. Also, the unfortunate crit onto the Phalanx. I think the Phalanx could have done a lot of work if it was allowed to. It was allowed to exist.
Oh yeah.
So
They traded bad moment for bad moment, I think, with each other in this one.
yeah, absolutely. I think a little bit of like even trading on the luck there. But that's just how the game is, you know. I mean, Pokemon's a game that's not always fixed pieces.
For sure. And honestly, that's part of the fun.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what makes it interesting. Definitely hope to see more of the Phalanx though going forward. I think it's a really great Terra Captain.
Oh
really
yeah.
fun pickup.
I mean, he picked it up, I think, week 4 or 5, and then he played it, I think, week 4, and then he played it week 5, and it immediately paid for itself. Like, he picked up, like, 5 kills, I think? Something crazy?
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, it reverse swept like 5-0. Just double check that real quick. Yeah, 5-0.
My god. This thing saw the, it predicted the future, because it saw a, you know, the Quaquaval this week, and it was like, hold on. Actually, no, didn't Quaquaval had another, like, huge sweep, right? Or am I high? I could be high.
Yeah, last week it got 3 KOs, and then
Okay.
this past week it picked up another
Like,
yeah
4 or 5?
5 or 6, I think.
Yeah, so I feel like the Phalanx saw the 3-0 sweep from Quaquaval and was like, hold my beer. Really, and, you know, tried to bring it for week 5. And tragically, was not allowed to do anything week 6. But, you know, shit happens.
Yeah, very unfortunate.
But I'm definitely with you there. I would love to see this, the Phalanx come out again next, you know, here and there throughout as we get to the end of the season. Such a cool mon. It's so fun.
Yeah.
With probably the coolest boosting move in the game in No Retreat. Really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely a very fun move. Obviously, it has its drawbacks, but I mean, with the right setup, as we've seen, can put in the work.
Oh, absolutely, and that just makes it cool. All right. Well, let's get into the next one here. We only got a few more. I think only about 3 left, which is great because I didn't want this stream to be long, and I'm quite low energy today. I'm very tired.
Fair enough.
But we have Involving Lemons versus Jace's Spades. And I did sort of spoil the outcome of this game here when I showed early in the stream. I showed the week 6 results. But, you know, we can still look over the game and kind of see how we got to that conclusion. So let's look at Lemon's team here. He's brought out the Garchomp here. It's actually the first time, I think, in a number of weeks since we've seen the Chomp come around. I'm curious to see if he's playing it as like a hyper offense thing, or if he's playing a little bit more cagey, a little bit more bulky Chomp. Either way, I think it's really cool. This thing has got so much flexibility. It could even, I think it could even give like Dragapult a run for its money as far as its choices, like its options.
Yeah, I mean, Garchomp is rated very highly in draft for a reason, right? That's because
sure.
it's so cool. Maybe not quite as good as Dragapult in that it's, well, for one, it's much slower, and two, it's a little bit less offensive. But it's still got a lot of good options. Obviously, like you mentioned, like Swords Dance, that's very good. But it can also play bulky, as we've talked about in past weeks.
Right. Yeah, I'm just very curious to see what he's bringing out this time. As for the rest of his team, it's a lot of familiar faces. You know, we're seeing Latias as always, Miss Magus kind of as always. Iron Treads, I think, has come out every week, because I believe it's his only spinner.
Yeah.
And the Muck, of course, I assume to soak T-Spikes, as well as just be kind of an annoying blob that sits there and just takes hits and just kind of dishes out poisons. And, of course, his Poliwrath actually makes another return. And I'm hoping the Poliwrath gets to shine a little bit. It is such a cool mon. And into this team, it has some options. Can kind of hit at least a couple of them pretty hard. So we'll see how it goes. As for Jace, he's bringing out what I feel like is a very familiar team, because this looks almost exactly like the team he played against me in the very first week. Except he's brought along the Hisuian Electrode, which is really funny. But I think it's, you know, uniquely qualified to answer that Poliwrath extremely well, given both of its stabs will hit it really hard. The Talonflame comes back out, and I think it's just a generally good mon. He plays this, I believe, very aggressively, but he also takes Will-O-Wisp on it, which has got a lot of play into this team, given that Muck, Poliwrath, and Chomp want to be physical, so getting burns on those is super critical.
Yeah, getting burns on this team is, I mean, just having Will-O-Wisp on Talonflame is such a nice addition. Even if you play it offensively, having that option for the utility,
Right.
You know, it can save the game when you know that you can't make like a really good trade with a Brave Bird or like Flare Blitz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just having the option for Wisp to hit something, always good, right?
For sure. Yeah, it's never bad, I think, to run like that kind of a status. It's sort of like, it's good, and then when you hit a physical mon, it's like gravy. It's just twice as good, you know?
Right.
Ticketon actually comes back out here. I assume to be just kind of annoying. And of course, you can always click Gigaton Hammer and just kind of kill something on accident.
Yeah,
might be a little bit hard. Might be a little hard because there's a couple bulky things I think that can comfortably take a Gigaton Hammer, but it's still a base 160 attack. Like, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's always a good chunk, right? No matter what. Yeah,
exactly. And plus, it's got such a good utility move pool. It gets like, I think it's like Encore, Knockoff, Hazards, of course. You know, there's, I think he even gets like T-Wave too, which is like really cool. So
Ticketon, yeah, he gets Thunder Wave.
Yeah, it's got so many options, so it'll be interesting to see how how Jace brings it in this game. Here comes the Paldean Water Tauros again, and I would harbor a guess, and it's probably running Kudshu again, which is so cool. I've never seen Kudshu used so well on a mon, and Jace has, I think, brought Kudshu Tauros almost every game, and it's so cool, except when he gets one shot, then it's sad, but otherwise it's super cool because he usually runs like a bulk up variant, which is really interesting. You know, he gets kind of tougher to kill. You bring it down low, it eats a berry, gets back up to like 80%. You bring it back down after it bulks up, it eats it again. Like,
yeah,
there's so much
I do
sustain.
enjoy his use of the Kudshu with the pinch healing berries. It's like a really neat adaptation in matchups where you know that you can kind of finagle yourself down to that 25% mark between taking hits with the bulk up and also recoiling yourself with things like wild charge, right?
Right, wild charge, wave crash, to name a few.
Mm-hmm.
So super cool. Yeah, I really like that. You know, his style with that Tauros. And then he's rounding things out with that Galarian Slow King. Just a good overall mon, really good defensive typing, really good pivot option.
Yep.
And that Dragonite with that multi-scale, because it's a fucking Dragonite. This thing is just good. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean Dragonite. I mean everyone knows what this thing does with extreme speed on ladder.
Oh yeah.
And even without that, like it's got a lot of good coverage. Multi skill's never going to be a bad ability. Just taking half damage from when you're at full. It's always good. I'd like to see him play maybe a more defensive set one of these weeks with like something with Roost and Dragon Dance for hard setup.
Oh yeah, that could be really interesting.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know if it'll pan out in the next couple weeks, but yeah, let's just get into it.
For sure. Let's set that to slow. Sound off, because the in-game music's loud. There's a Chomp lead, and it's staring down a Tinkaton here. So I assume these are both going to click a hazard. Okay, well, I was right.
Yep.
What? Okay.
I'm going to ignore the fact that he had Stealth Rocks there.
It's fine. Well, there's the hammer. It does 32%. Doesn't take the contact damage from that rough skin because it's using a hammer.
Yeah.
There's the knockoff and the double physical touch chip with the Rocky Helmet and rough skin, but no longer with the Rocky Helmet with that knockoff. As a third. Oh god.
Yeah, the three spikes here. Yeah.
I'm gonna ignore that he clicked the dragon move in front of a fairy.
Yeah, me too.
Well, there's the hard switch into Iron Cringe rather. There's the knock. Won't do any damage really because it consumed its item.
Yep.
As the team actually just healed itself back up to full basically off of kind of just taking
kind of
nothing.
Back at full HP, yeah.
And he locks this
Encoring
Iron
the
Treads
rapid
into
spin?
spin.
Yeah, very good.
Just so nice. Kind of forces that switch into Muck here. Does he stay in? Just gets the Oh my god, the crit for 59.
My goodness, the crit.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Tinkaton just sets up those rocks once more.
Just gotta put rocks back again, yeah.
And there's the T-spikes. Interesting, given that there's a Galarian Slowking. If I'm him, I wouldn't even have bothered. There's the
yeah,
Gigaton
I would have
Hammer again.
definitely waited to try to get the toxic spikes out before, until that Slowking is dealt with, right?
Right, yeah.
Obviously,
I'm
gonna be able to absorb those.
Honestly, I probably would have just ignored it, just not even bothered setting it, because the fact that the Slowking is there kind of makes me have like nothing turns with that. But there's a switch finally from Jace into that Electrode as Circle Throw is
Circle Throw. It's such a funny move.
Well,
it's been ages since I've seen this thing used.
Well, there's a Circle Throw into the Slowking, clears those spikes, and he misses a Circle Throw.
Can I mention this is Life Orb Slowking?
That's what that was?
Yeah, look at this. Watch this.
What the fuck?
I was gonna mention, this is Life Orb Slowking.
Jace is cooking something. I don't know what, but I want to eat what he's eating, you know?
I don't know what he's cooking, but it killed that poly for sure.
What the fuck, man? Well, there goes it goes down to the Shadow Sneak from the Muck as Tinkaton comes back out. There's the Iron Treads again. The Hammer just comes out, healing 18, which is not bad chip. This thing has no source of recovery, and actually no booster speed anymore. As the Spin comes back out, locking it, getting the hazard
again.
clear, as the Encore comes out.
Yeah, get Encore again.
Oh, there's
a
a Lottie switch. The Hammer.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Hammer just does so much.
That's 53% on the hammer, and there's the trick. Giving it the choice scarf, which is odd, as the rocks come out. Sure, why not? Jace does very smartly go for that switch as Dragonite just takes the rock damage. Treads does come back out here, I suspect trying to fish for the hazard clear. Oh, what the fuck? Oh,
Ooh, Ice Spinner doesn't get the KO,
it
yeah.
lived!
And the return Ice Spinner.
Oh, that brings it down to almost
here's
nothing
the
as the
E-speed.
crit E-speed.
Yeah, crit E-speed will finish the job there.
Well,
I'm not sure
there's
if
the
that crit mattered.
misses.
But
I'm gonna say it did, just to... I feel like it actually may have. I don't want to do the calcs.
I'll do the calc.
God damn it. Well, here comes the Talonflame showing no boots,
Oh yeah, that
which is
crit
fun.
mattered.
Oh my god. You know what? That's about right. There's the Roost,
Ooh,
smartly
Thunderbolt.
actually being clicked to soak
Yep.
the Thunderbolt, as
Yeah,
Flare Blitz
Roost
picks up the
actually
kill.
dodges the T-Bolt. And yeah. Wow, Flare Blitz, yeah, just picks up the KO straight up.
Here comes the Lottie, staring down the flame. Roost comes out again. And what does Latias do? Goes for the Bolt again. Oh my god, Jay's playing this really well.
He dodged 2 T-Bolts with a Roost, that's
Don't
crazy.
tell me he dodges it a third time. Motherfucker.
Ain't no way.
Ain't no way. This man is seeing the future or something. As a Braver just gets the KO on Lottie.
Talonflame, my
God.
beloved.
Here comes the Chomp as the Brave Bird once again is the click. It takes a bit of chip from the Rough Skin. And the Muck is on no HP.
It'll live.
Oh my
No,
god, it's on
it'll-
1! Shadow Sneak. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Talonflame
Unfortunately-
sweep tragically ended by the priority, which is cheating. Banned. Just kidding. Ting comes back out here,
Fortunately-
takes a bunch of damage. Big hammer. Hell yeah.
Fortunately, there's a Gigaton to click Gigaton Hammer and finish this game.
Oh my god, this game was... This is an interesting game.
Yeah. So, well, one, shout out to Talonflame, my boy, my favorite generational bird.
Let's go! I
Picking
love
up
Quad
3
Weaker
KOs.
Stealth Rocks. Yes, Moltres. I mean, good job, Talonflame. Anyway.
Yeah. But secondly, I do like the change in approach from Lemons because we've seen a lot of, we've touched on this in the past. He's relied very, very heavily on setup mons and like setup Weeper set.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this change in the angle where maybe he went a little bit too hard into the hazard stack plus forcing switches kind of thing with the circle throw. Like I don't know that having circle throw and that kind of stuff was like super necessary here. But I like the change in angle here, right? We see some different stuff. First time seeing a defensive guard chomp after not seeing it for like a few weeks.
For sure,
First
yeah.
time seeing Scarf Crick Latias, which is really nice.
Yeah, definitely. There's, he is playing quite a different style this week, and I do applaud him for actually, giving it a try.
Yeah.
A lot of these, different sets he tried to bring, I think actually had a really good chance of kind of paying off.
Yeah, I think the switch up is really good. Just his execution was a little bit off in this particular game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I like that we're seeing something different here.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. Just got to work on really getting those turns to kind of pan out the way you want them. And I think that really that comes down more to practice. As much as I hate to say it, I used to take piano when I was a kid, and I hated the word practice. But I think as he's progressed, he has gotten a little bit better about it for sure. And I think this shift in style is a good first step. It's just going to be a matter of understanding how to properly position, and I think positioning really is the hardest part of this game. I've heard from other people say that you win and lose in team building. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think a huge part does come down to your positioning, because you can definitely play, from behind, and I think Lemons had the opportunity to try and play from behind, but the execution just wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
But I will say, I do like kind of where his head was at with this Garchomp. My only comment really is, where the fuck is your Earthquake, my guy? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Earthquake honestly feels very free into this comp. And I think the only reason why he clicked Dragon Tail into the Fairy typing was just sheer lack of knowledge. You know, he
Yeah.
hasn't really familiarized himself, I assume, with, you know, how Fairy type works. And that's fair. I don't blame him for that. You know, Fairy is a weird typing. And I can say
Be
that.
that he expected the Tinkaton to switch out after the hazards are set up, but there's not really a reason for the Tinkaton to switch, right? Unless it sees an Earthquake.
Right, yeah. And again, that's kind of why I'm like, where was the Earthquake? If you gone for the Earthquake, you either get a ton of critical damage, or you force a KO, or you even just scare him out for a switch. All of which I think would have been more ideal than just kind of sticking around the way he ended up doing.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do want to just say, good job, Jace, actually picking up his first W this season. And with an actually pretty solid differential, 3-0 is very good, I would say. And my god, the Talonflame.
Nice 3-0 win. Yeah, getting 3 KOs on Talonflame.
Oh, so good. And I think a big part of his victory today, or, you know, not today, hello, this is played on the 6th, was really in part to the Tinkaton. Really keeping the hazards up, and actually kind of locking in the Iron Treads a couple times into just spinning was really, really smart. Because it gives him the out to position.
Yeah, just hitting the Encore on the very obvious rapid spin was just a really good use of that move.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just really like this Tinkaton set, and I think he ran everything I mentioned except the Thunder Wave, which is fun. This is a cool, you know, this is just a very good set. It's hard to go wrong with it.
Yeah, the first running just the first 3 moves, very solid. The 4th one, whether it's Encore or T Wave,
that could have been anything, honestly.
Whatever have you, yeah. Could even be, you know, another attack like Play Rough.
Could have even just been Fake Out, for all we know, like just to stall a turn to get some leftovers recovery or something.
Yeah.
Like, really well played with this Tinkaton. And I never realized it, but this Dragonite was Rocky Helmet, which is such a strange innovation. But otherwise, kind of cool.
Yeah, and it mattered in this game because he was able to pick up the KO on the Iron Treads.
Yeah, after the helmet chip and the crit, that was super lucky. So that's actually super rad. This Life Orb Slowking though, what the fuck is this?
I'm so curious to see what the rest of this set is. I gotta ask him about that later.
I may. Yeah, we'll consider this for the deranged tech for the week, because Life Orb Slowking is very weird, and it kind of paid off.
Spell too, nonetheless, like even more so. Right on top of that.
What the hell does that even do, actually?
So if you go back in the turn order to when he used it, you'll see what its secondary effect is.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it reduces the PP of the last move used by the target by 3.
It's that one shitty ghost move that the AI always clicks that reduces your PP, and I can't remember what it's called.
Oh yeah, I don't remember what it's
Spite.
called either.
It's Spite.
Yeah, Spite. Yeah,
so,
it's Spite on a
stick.
Like a Psyshock, or not a Psyshock, a Psychic, right?
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Huh. That is very cool. And into certain matchups where Mons only have like 5 or 8 uses of a thing, cutting it down by 3, there goes like half of it. You know, you've clicked it once and then he takes it 3 more away.
Yeah, I mean, I think like hitting an Eerie spell on something like, I'm thinking in this matchup he was probably expecting to use it into like a Draco Meteor maybe.
Right. Yeah. Oh, just take away all that power from Latios.
Cut half. Yeah, just cut half the PP off of a Draco Meteor after the first usage.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah. So always cool to see weird moves like this that like don't always get used. It is a signature move of Galarian Slowking.
Okay, fair.
Which is and it's not always used because it's 10 power weaker than Psychic,
Mm-hmm.
and has less PP. It's only a 5 PP movement base.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, but it's one of those funny tech moves that if you know that you can stall out a Pokemon that's using, either like a really strong attack like Draco, or I think it better is if you can use it against something that is reliant on like recovery.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just
You can
cut
cut
away
off,
those like roost or recover
Yeah.
turns. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's super smart.
always fun to see signature moves come out.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when it's like weirdly like good niche moves like this.
Yeah.
Definitely into a different matchup. That would have gone crazy.
Yeah, it could have been really strong, right?
But really well done. Super cool team. And the one thing I liked about his team before was the Tauros, and that's the one thing that didn't show up to this game.
Yeah, it didn't come out. It didn't get to come out this game.
Come out, eat your berry, and then eat it a second time, I guess. But whatever. Still really well done by Jace. Taking home his first W. No shutouts in my league, I tell ya.
Yeah, and now everyone's picked up at least one win in this league. So
Yeah, now
We'll
we
see
get
if
to see.
these-
Let's see if he does it again.
yeah, we'll see if the bottom part of our standings can pick up a couple more before the season ends.
For sure.
Would
I was
be
kind of
pretty nice.
joking with some folks that like that means you can no longer underestimate any player in the league, because everyone has gotten a win under their belt. There's no like 0-6, 0-7 losers at all, which is awesome. That's what I was
Yeah.
hoping for. As cool
Yeah.
as it is seeing undefeated, who cares? I want no shutouts, and thank God we got no shutouts.
Yeah, and it's been great. I mean, even beyond the fact that we have no shutouts at this point now, we've actually got a very close race for playoffs in like the middle of the group.
Oh yeah, no, I'm in that race and I'm terrified. I
Yeah,
am
like
I am
everyone
4-2
from,
with like a 2 differential. I'm shitting myself.
yeah, like everyone from third to, I guess, like even down to like 11th is like still in, like 11th or 12th is still in the race, right? Like it's possible for them to make it
Oh, for sure.
depending on
Yeah.
how the matchups go.
I'm sweating because I think like if a couple players in that middle ground, because there's a few people who are at 3-3 with good diffs. Like if they just win this week, I'm like shit. I'm like out. Like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh god damn it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's super tight. It's really cool though. Very much looking forward to the rest of the coming weeks. But we have a couple more games. We have 3. Thank God we're almost done.
Yeah.
This one is Nook versus Big Honey, and I will say this was probably my favorite game of the week, mostly because I had to build this team with Big Honey. But it's super fun. We've got Clodsire coming back because this thing is just super good. He told me he was like, I want to bring Bruxish. I'm like, sure, fuck it, why not? Let's bring it this week. We assessed Dusclops actually can make another return. This thing is just so good as like a defensive wall. And we talked about earlier how there's mons that can really, it's not good to have one mon serve as your sole defensive measure. If there was ever a mon that could do it and just actually be your sole defensive pick, Dusclops might be one of the only options, and for some reason it's like a 3-pointer.
Yeah, Dusclops sleeper really good.
Like, I really like this thing. I'm very happy actually that Big Honey did pick it up this season, and it's after his rough start where he gave it an assault fest. This motherfucker, he learned that Violet existed, and it's shined ever since.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, obviously it's not picking up KOs every week, but it's always done something. I think in every week that he's brought it.
Oh yeah, inflicting status, and with Pain Split, balancing out its base 50 HP stat against his opponent's anything really. It's really shown itself to actually be such a core member of his roster time and time again. And I think, I'm hoping this game will do the same. I already watched this, but I have to pretend like I didn't. And as for the rest of his team, Latios is coming back out here. Audio is just a very good sweeper. You can give this choice scarf, choice specs, life orb, you name it, it can run it most likely. With the coverage pool to boot, like this can get hit, I think just about everything, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think so.
And with the last two, he's got Alolan Muck, kind of another all-star mon for him, another really good special defensive wall, with a crazy good typing. And last but certainly not least, Kingdra, which I just like Kingdra. I'm glad he still runs it. It's so funny. And I forgot if it did work this game or not, so we'll have to find out. But as for Nook, he's brought it more, you know, an interesting variation of his Sun team. This is not at all what I expected. I expected the same thing with like Ninetales, G-Fire, Venusaur to be his main core, and I was only right about 2 out of the 3 of those. We see Venusaur actually stayed home to make way for Weavile, Jolteon, and Florges, which is really interesting. Florges actually being like such a good offensive pick, given that Big Honey, I think his overall draft has like 3 dragon types. Florges would have freely just sat on them, but there's only 1.
No, Kingdra's here. There's 2.
Okay, well, Kingdra is... I consider this a critical hit. I don't consider this a Pokemon, really.
That's fair.
Hey, there's Weavile, which really actually is the best answer to Dusclops.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's just a good offensive mon. Triple Axle off that Ice Stab can really just accidentally kill something. And it still gets... I think it lost knockoff?
No, it still has knockoff.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fuck this thing.
It lost knockoff, and then it gained it back in DLC 1.
Man.
So...
Damn you, Game
yeah,
Freak.
It's still got...
It's still
possibly
good.
like the best offensive stab combo in the game. It's still strong.
A big sigh. It's the antithesis to Latios. Big pain.
Yeah, I mean it's just a really solid mon all around, right?
Yeah.
Kind of checks everything on this team a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. The only issue is, of course, Weavile being made of wet tissue paper, but it hits like a fucking missile launcher. So we'll see if it gets to do what it wants to do this game. The Jolteon's actually kind of a cool pick. Not one I'm personally sold on into the overall pool, but it does offer him a lot of utility. It is a Terra Captain option as well on this team.
This is the first week that it's shown up, and I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see it being used. It can be, I think, notably for this matchup, it can be Terra Ice and Terra Fairy, which is pretty good into. That is pretty good into a lot of things on Big Honey's team.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Terra Ice in particular.
Oh, Terra Ice hits Latios, hits Kingdra decently well, hits the Clodsire actually, which is a big deal.
Yeah. And even things that are not here hits the Subtile and the Donphan as well.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
And then Terra Fairy hits obviously the dragons, but also the Galarian Zapdos.
True, because
I really like the Jolteon inclusion here. I know Nook is kind of not taking it in favor of his traditional Sun Core plus whatever else he likes to bring. Usually it's been Rhyperior in one of these slots. But yeah, I think Jolteon is I mean, it's a very strong Terra Captain. It's very fast.
For sure.
Still hits decently hard.
Yeah, definitely.
It
could be really good.
strong.
I mean, and at the very least, it's kind of just a decent support mon. Obviously being an electric type is packing Thunder Wave. I think it packs a little bit of priority too with like Quick Attack. So
I believe it does get Quick Attack, yeah.
So it can kind of even go for like the happenstance last hit on a couple things if the game really drags out that long. But I'm very curious to see how he plays it this week. And of course, he did bring his. I think this is the same, probably a similar mixed Swampert set that he's brought before. Which, to be honest, has confused me to a degree because Swampert gets Ice Punch. So you can just kind of go physical ground move, like Earthquake, Ice Punch, and have a ton of coverage. But he seemed to favor this sort of a mixed Swampert, I think even specially Swampert variant. So we'll see if he brings that out yet again. And rounding it out, obviously, he has his iconic Sun pair. I think you'd be caught dead before you saw Ninetales without its gouging fire.
For sure.
On his team. It's just, what do you do? It's good. Gouging
Yeah,
fire,
gouging
of course.
fire.
It's gouging fire.
I mean, yeah, hands down, one of the best Sunmons, if not the best that they've ever made.
Yeah, it's a fire type that benefits from sun and gets a stat boost with photosynthesis. Like that's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, this thing hits like a truck. It's also kind of ridiculously defensive. It's got a good amount of fizz def for like just considering how offensive it is. Like for some reason it's got what, like 100 physical defense stat or something, like 101.
Like 100. Yeah, like one. I think it's like
121. Sorry.
Yeah, 121. I was gonna say it's like up
Yeah.
there. It's really high.
Yeah.
But yeah, super cool. I love this one.
And it's got options too.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely got its choice of moves here. Granted, I feel like the only times I've seen it, it's when it's clicking Iron Head for some reason. Well, I could click Flare Blitz, but let's see how it goes if he does click Flare Blitz. Although Flare Blitz actually this week is bad, I feel like, but
Yeah.
I digress.
Definitely a bigger fan of the dragon type moves in this week.
For sure, the Dragon Claw, hell, even Outrage looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to a Dragon Dance Outrage, but let's just get into it. We'll set to slow, we'll give it a play. There's the... Weavile lead. Into
Leading
the
Weavile is
Kingdra.
very interesting here.
I kind of like this, but he goes to the immediate switch into Jolteon, I think thinking this is a water type, as the Kingdra goes for an agility, and the focus energy. Yes, a critical hit Kingdra.
Yeah, Jolteon hits back with the Alluring Voice, but just dies to the Draco Meteor.
Here comes the Florges, and this is the one mon I told Big Honey watch out with that Kingdra. And he switches correctly into the Clodsire as the substitute comes out, which is really interesting. Oh, it's Sub Calm Mind, okay.
Yeah, Sub CM.
Into Curse
Versus
Clodsire.
Clodsire.
Oh,
boy.
I love Pokemon. There's the jab, picks up the break on the sub.
Yep.
Goes for the sub yet again. As the jabs just keep coming. This thing is like jabbing with like the front flipper, I imagine. There's a synth. As the jab comes out, deals 51% and rolls poison.
Yeah, gets the poison. Which is very
That's so
unfortunate here.
big. Scares the switch into Swampert here. As Amnesia comes out, Clodsire just forgetting his opponent is there. Takes that Earthquake like a champ and goes for the jab. Roll poison? Doesn't roll poison. But that is perfectly okay. Goes for the switch right into the Clops here. As Earthquake comes out, does basically next to nothing.
Yeah, why did that deal 0 damage? Why is Dusclops so tanky?
I wonder if this is actually mixed Swampert again. I think if it's a max attack, it would have done a lot more. There's the Wisp into the Ninetales, which is just unfortunate, but you know, that's okay.
I mean, it's a safe play, right? You're not like hard punished for not getting that read right.
Oh, for sure. Nightshade comes out as the Shadow Ball is also clicked, doing actually comparable damage here. As the Shadow Ball comes out a second time, bringing it down to 21%, as the Pain Split levels the playing field really nicely here.
I love Pain Split.
It's so funny. There's a switch into the Kingdra. Eats the Shadow Ball, unfortunately. As he kind of double switches here into the Claude, which is, I think, a reasonable switch. Oh, he rolls a special defense drop, though, which is so unfortunate.
A little bit unlucky, but this Clodsire not taking any damage from this.
Oh, absolutely not.
Why did Solar Beam do 26?
Because Clodsire is awesome.
That's a disrespectful amount of damage.
And there's the recover all the way back up to 75% with the leftovers recovery. As Curse comes out, hitting that boost, getting tanky again.
Curse coming back out here.
Interesting switch into the Latios. Not something I would have done, but he does read the Earthquake, which is really intelligent, actually.
Yeah. Knowing the Earthquake damage was about 57% for the last one, he knows that he can't survive 2 turns to get the second curse, or to get another curse and a recover.
Yeah,
so I think that is actually pretty fair here.
That's actually fair. That is quite smart. Goes for the...
And it's an easy read into the earthquake.
Mm-hmm. There's a kind of switch dance there, ending with Weavile staring at a Muck. As close to the knockoff, knocks away that Assault Vest.
Does get a crit, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it's Muck.
Yeah. Well, the Drain Punch comes out, gets a little bit of chip, get a little bit of recovery. Reading another Earthquake like a goddamn book into the Latios.
And yeah, this is why we pack Levitate or Flying Wands.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just need them.
Oh, the
Draco Meteor hits
miss.
to the left, which is very unfortunate.
Draco miss.
Or to the right in this case, I guess, since we're on this perspective.
Right. The Cloud comes out, soaks that Shadow Ball.
Yeah, no, this Cloud Star's not taking any sort of
No,
damage.
Cloud doesn't give a shit. G-Fire actually does come out here, which is kind of interesting. Rolls the attack up because of the Sun Boost. Jab, no poison? Fuck. Cloud is back up to 80. Stays in, unfortunately, eats that Earthquake. Does get KO'd. Rest in peace, my sweet prince. As the Kingdra actually comes back out. Nails the Draco, gets that KO.
Yeah, gets the Draco, and importantly, I'm not sure if this was Dragon Dance. I would assume it is. I would assume it's a bulky Dragon Dance set, and so I'm kind of curious as to why he didn't decide to Dragon Dance on the Clodsire, knowing that he had the opportunity to pretty safely.
I think he just wanted to go for the kill.
Well, I think getting the KO felt. I mean, getting the Clodsire out of the way is like a kind of a big deal, right?
Right, for sure. We see the Swampert coming out, gets those rocks up, trades a bit of damage, but the Dusclops doesn't give a shit and just gets that recovery all the way back up to, I think, 80 it was.
Yeah, it's the recover and the burn. Just does not care about this.
No, this Swampert can do whatever it wants, but this Clops is hanging out and having a great time. Gets the Nightshade, brings that Ninetales to basically Death's Door. Shadow Ball comes out, gets a bit of chip, 21%'s not too bad. Rolls a Spadef drop, which is pretty lucky, but the Nightshade does get the kill.
Yeah, not the worst considering what's left on the team. It's basically just this Florgus for special attackers. Unless it's a mixed Swampert, but...
Right. Weirdly, goes for the sub here, but I think that's lack of game knowledge potentially, because the standard poison just gets that KO.
Yeah.
Weavile does come out staring at this Clops. Goes for the swords, interestingly enough. As the Willow comes out, gets that burn, kind of canceling out that swords boost, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think here
I would have gone for a second swords dance here.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you need the damage to even attempt to KO.
Yeah, just to punch through the rest of this team. Yeah, I definitely agree.
Latios and the Muck. But
really,
nope, Scarf Latios will solve that problem for you, right?
Oh, yep, I'll do it. I think it was really smart though here. Big Honey did assess actually that he needed to let that Dusclops go to really position well into this late game. And now it's just this Swampert versus the world.
Yeah.
Ice Beam comes out.
Ice Beam again?
Yep. Aura Sphere again comes out. I think that's pretty much it. This is a Scarf Lottie.
Yep. And Latios will just wrap that up.
And there it goes. Really good game actually for Big Honey. You know, taking his second win of the season in style. Yeah, my man's is on a 2-win streak, which is so awesome. And I think what's been really cool is, you know, even with a team core centered around kind of the same things of like Muck, Clodsire, and Dusclops, there's been, you know, he's been able to really find some innovation and different ways to kind of approach that defensive core, which is super cool.
Yeah, and he's been playing it well. He's been playing, you know, I mean, you can tell he's been figuring out how to play this team more and more over the course of the season.
For sure.
And it really showed up in this game, for sure.
I definitely agree. My big comment to him was, you know, feel free, like, take your time with it. Like, you can slow down, really assess each turn. And I think that he's kind of taken that to heart. And what I believe when I was watching this game for the first time, when he was actually playing it, this took like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It was quite a while, actually. And I think in no small part to him, you know, him actually slowing it down, giving himself some, actual breathing room and doing the calcs, really assessing each situation, each turn.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the key things that, you know, uh, is very important. I think, especially for us, we don't play with a timer. Um,
Hmm.
Obviously in different tournaments and on ladder, people prefer to play with timer. Because being able to make the right decision in a shorter amount of time is a skill in and of itself.
Right.
But at least for our purposes, yeah, I mean, having people take the time to figure out their moves and get used to that flow has been really good.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not opposed to watching longer games if it means that we can get better play out of the players, right?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather a game be, an hour, but super satisfying and, really well fought than, I don't know, like 10 minutes, 6-0.
Yeah, for sure.
Those games aren't exactly fun to commentate either, because it's like, well, you lost. I don't know.
Well, that happened, I guess.
What's our assessment? Don't let this set up, or just don't lose to this, So these games, where it's kind of slower, players are taking their time. 40 turns doesn't seem like a lot, and it kind of isn't, but given that some games this season have gone to only like turn 16, this feels pretty good. I would say 30 is about the season average for most games.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely really well done for Big Honey here. The team really shining, and he's piecing it together, and I'm hoping he can take another W. He is playing I think the first or second seed. I think he's playing Cat Bomb, so second seed?
Yeah,
in the top 8. So it's going to be really interesting to see if he can actually take his team and fight all the way up top, smack down one of the top dogs. I hope he can. I really want him to. It'd be funny.
It would be great. I'd be down to see it.
Oh my god, talk about an underdog story,
Yeah.
Like, watch. I don't want to jinx it or anything, but I think it'd be hilarious if Crit Kingdra just 6-0'd. Because Cat Bomb's team is super slow, so one agility is like that's it. Like one agility, one focus energy. And not a lot of his things can muscle through that kind of pressure, especially not early. So he has to either play like super aggressive or just like die.
Yeah.
So it'll be super cool to see that game. I'm very excited. And talking about here, let's not forget to kind of put a spotlight on Nook. Nook actually tried something very different for this week, and I think it was close to paying off. Just a couple of positioning errors really kind of put him on the back foot.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's he could have played this definitely a little bit more slower. He could have kind of assessed a bit, probably his turns a little bit better. But he had a good few, like some moments actually were really well done. Like the floor just switch in front of the Kingdra was actually really smart. I just have no idea what the floor juice's one attack was. I assume it's Moonblast.
Yeah, I would suspect it's Moonblast. I don't know for sure.
I think I do just have a little bit of an issue, I think just with this week's team comp, in that he has the Forges here, I suspect, to kind of play that slower paced setup, clean up house kind of approach, but it's not really paired with a lot of other sources of chip damage, which I feel like is where the Forges would really shine. If it's, there's some more damage beside just the one layer of Stealth Rocks, if he was able to get spikes up, or if he can get some status going around. But we didn't really see that this week, which I think kind of hurt. Also, I think this mixed Swampert build is not great. I'm gonna just be real, because Swampert gets Ice Punch, and it has a much better physical attack set than special. So I don't know if this could be down to game knowledge, or whatever the case. I think the Swampert can be refined a little bit, the Swampert's still not a bad mon by any means. You know, historically it's been like an OU mon forever, except for the
Yeah.
last like 2 generations. But power creep exists, so it's okay. And also he lost his mega, so it's okay. Um, but you know, it has plenty of options, and I think like going Ice Beam is just not gonna cut the mustard as opposed to just going Ice Punch. Because also Ice Punch would have hit into the Clodsire a lot better than just Ice Beam. And actually going Ice Punch would have given him like a much better out, I think, into the Latios, because its physical defense is so much worse than its special.
Yeah, and I think that's just the game knowledge thing. Like, I think mixed Swampert is good in the cases where they have physically defensive Pokemon that are weak to ice, right? But in this specific situation, like in the case where they have things like Great Tusk, right, which is like very physically defensive and has like 0 special defense. Ice Beam obviously is better in that case, even though the special attack is lower. But yeah, in this case, I think this is just like a knowledge thing of not knowing that Clodsire and Latios are less physically defensive. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it comes down to.
Oh yeah, that's fair. I think I would give a similar recommendation actually to what I gave Jeff, or Big Honey rather. I would give that to Nook, and that's, you know, give yourself time, you know, and even more so, give yourself a little bit more time in the prep stage, because, you know, I believe he's only been using one resource, and that's been like the type checker draft sheet that we've got. But I think if he gave himself a little bit more time to like look at options and kind of not necessarily study like homework, but you know, just look over a few more things. You know, he can explore around. You can definitely find other options and kind of cooler movesets too. You know, things that are also, you know, may gel better with this team or may gel better with his personal style.
Yeah, definitely.
So that would be, you know, that's kind of my main thing, I suppose, for this game. Because this team is definitely scary. Like, oh my god, Sun boosted G-Fire? Crazy good.
Yeah, this is a very scary draft.
But I think if he just kind of slowed down, maybe pulled up the calculator and checked some of his numbers, I think he could have gotten away with a pretty potentially decisive win here, actually, against Big Honey. But you know, I can understand things happen, and also I believe he's on vacation, out of town, so he's playing from like a hostel or something. So, you know, if he's a little bit distracted, sure, fair enough. But no Johns, come on now. So I'm hoping he can really get things rolling, get things together for week 7, and we'll see how his game goes whenever it does go. And we're on to our second to last game here. Oh, hey, it's you!
Hey, this game, yeah.
It's you versus Haku.
I had a lot of fun team building for this one.
This one was very silly.
I looked at Haku's draft, and I was like, there's a lot of annoying stuff on this draft. There's Roaring Moon, there's Landorus Incarnate, obviously Archaladon, a big threat with the potential Rain Core, same with Overquill.
Right.
Even Shaman, Shaman's like quote-unquote just a 10-pointer, but man, if Shaman is not like very threatening in its own right.
Oh, dude. Shaman's so good. I ran it last season. It's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah, so I looked at this draft and was like, how do I counter this? And I thought, well, let's just play like a billion pivots. So that's what I have this week.
Yeah.
And by that I mean I have 3. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at this team and I'm like, a bunch of these things don't ever want to be in anymore. Like Rotom, Sneasel, and I think Fez don't mind just bouncing around. And you have like 3 heavy hitters with Samu, Ursa, and Zama.
Yeah, so like you said, where you know, positioning is like a big part of the game, I thought I'll just play 3 fast pivots in the Fezandipity. I have Scarf Samurott and I have Scarf Rotom, and I'll just pivot my way around into a good position and hope it works out.
I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
So And in a way, you know, I don't even feel like I have to do the overview on Haku's team. You talked about most of it. And it's
Yeah.
mostly scary stuff and this Moltres.
I mean, Moltres is also quite good into my team too, right? I have Samurott, which just like Samurott and Zamazenta and Sneasel all do not appreciate getting burned.
Oh, yeah.
Even things like if I decided to run like Metagross, obviously very scared of being burned. Physical Necrozma as well. Things like that, right? Like,
yeah, there are definitely
I've
things
got
that
a lot
don't
of good
want to
targets
look
for
at.
the Will-O-Wisp coming
For
out,
sure.
or Flame Body. So
Yeah, definitely.
I was surprised to not see the Raincore because I think the Raincore was actually very strong into my team.
Yeah, that's what I would have done if I was Haku. Like, I would have brought the Pelipper, the Archaludon, the Overquill, probably still the Shaman, the Moltres. Like, I would have brought those 5, and then, like, I don't know, Roaring Moon, probably? Or, just insert offensive threat here. He has Landorus, Incarnate.
Yeah, I think Landorus would have been my 6th Pokemon here. Like,
Yeah, that would have been so good.
mhm.
And yet, no Lando, no Rain. Notably, Haku drafted the Rain Core, and I've been making fun of him because I'm like, wow, this looked like my team from last season, and he's not run the Rain Core more than like his first game, which is kind of confusing because I think the Rain Core is just really, really strong.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is
I
a
had
choice.
A discussion with him. Yeah, I had a discussion with him actually about that after the game. I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but he was concerned about obviously Rain, you know, and playing Rain Sweepers is kind of like a very linear playstyle. And so he was like a little bit concerned about like playing Rain is too predictable, right? But I mean,
But Rain is just so good.
Yeah, and not only that, like it's not only just very strong, but like between the 2 Rain abusers that he does have in the Archaludon and the Overquill, they actually cover each other's weaknesses fairly well. And he has the flying types / levitate mons to not really care about their shared ground weakness.
Right.
So it's actually pretty like if he puts the prep into it, I think it's actually pretty easy for him to play around the Rain Core without it being like overly one-dimensional. Right?
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Like if his Rain Core ends up being, as far as sweepers, it's like Archaludon, Overquill, Landorus, actually. Like those are in a way kind of 2 really conventional Rain abusers, and Landorus, which one, fixes their shared ground weakness, but also 2, still has a good way to abuse that weather with Sandsear Storm to really put out some heavy pressure. Like with a Choice Specs or something, if you're mental, Choice Specs Sandsears in the rain, something just dies. Like,
yeah,
so,
for sure.
And granted, there's no water-based abuser in this instance, but like, sometimes you don't need it. Like,
yeah, you kind of don't need it because like you mentioned, those 3 like Archaludon, Overquill, and Landorus kind of cover each other very well, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that he'll play the Rain Core in the last 2 weeks coming up because I do think it's very powerful, and I'd like to see him use it a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. But let's get into this game here.
Yeah, let's just go right into this.
Set to slow. Well, there's the Empoleon lead staring down this Rotom Wash. There's a pivot straight into the Archaludon as Voltrix comes out from you. I assume just reposition.
Yeah, this is just the start of my plan, right? My goal was I have this Rotom Wash to hit the Landorus if it comes in with the Hydro Pump, and then as soon as the Landorus is down, I'm free to Volt Switch whenever I want.
Right.
And then here I just see, well, he didn't bring the Landorus, so he's done my job for me, and I can lead Rotom. And then, I go out into the bear here, thinking that I can pick up a KO with the Earth Power. I get Dragon Tailed. I just Encore him into it. I'm like, all right.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah. Rotom, I don't really care. I can just Volt Switch into my Pheasantipity.
Yeah.
which does not care about this Dragon Tail whatsoever. Um, he decides to stay in, which surprises me.
It's very odd,
Um,
but okay.
So I just start hitting Icy Wind, so I have a safer setup on my Ursaluna.
Right.
Of course, he can still Dragon Tail me anyway. But yeah, I mean, Flash Cannon does nothing.
Yeah. You get the burn, I assume, just for some
Yeah.
chip damage and also
Yeah,
reading the switch.
And I really just need this chip damage because my end game here is to kill this Archaludon with Hisuian Samurott Sacred Sword, which
Mhm.
does about 60%. So regardless of the defense boost that it has, if it's below 60, I can kill it.
Oh, that's really smart, actually.
Yeah.
Eventually, you trying to pivot into Rotom Ghost as the Shaman subs, actually. I assume this is sub seed.
Yeah. I tried Thunderbolt to see if I can break the sub. It doesn't work out. I probably could have just switched there, but I didn't want to take a Seed Flare on anything else.
That's fair, actually. I like
So-
that assessment.
I just stay and hit the triple axle on this Shaman.
Yep,
A
that'll do
little
it.
bit of a risk, considering I could have given Archaludon 3 defense boosts,
Mhm.
but it's worth it because again, I know I have this Samurott in the back that can just Sacred Sword it through any defense boost that it has.
Right.
They're
Really good
electric, so I
Terra
don't
there.
immediately die to the R sphere
Right.
that I know is coming.
Yeah, and you can just get away with the sword stance, as Inner Focus actually lets you keep your attack
Yeah.
boost.
Yeah, so I did not expect Rocky Helmet here. I was very surprised that it ended up being defensive.
Yeah, that's actually really
Oversoul.
interesting.
Misses the Gung Shot, which is a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah. There come. Huh? Wait a second.
I think
That's pressure.
Oh, I actually didn't notice that. That's a good point. I actually did not notice that this was pressure Moltres. And I played assuming that it was Flame Body the whole time. I just was not paying attention to that.
I guess in the end it just didn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think it mattered in the end because I don't think I hit it that many times.
There's the Blood Moon.
Here,
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
I've got 2 Calm Minds. I can go for a Blood Moon. It's just very safe.
There's
Gets
the
knockout,
knock.
gets rid of my lefties. I'm okay with this. I'll just Calm Mind again in front of it.
Yeah,
Yes,
you don't
I know
mind.
I know that at this point the Surf will not KO me at all. Like I can just Moonlight off the Surf damage.
Right. And
And
then you still
that
get the
crit
KO
didn't matter
anyway.
at all.
No,
Yeah.
you're +3.
Yeah. So, and I was just expecting that he would switch out into something else, thinking the Earth Power is coming. And I-
Kind of just let Arch go, I
yeah,
guess.
I'm not sure. I think he was trying to Dragon Tail me here.
I think he
but-
forgets that Dragon Tail is minus priority.
Yeah, this was.
Oh!
Yeah.
That is
And-
lucky, beyond lucky.
Yeah. That was very unfortunate. And if I died to the Outrage, he keeps his Roaring Moon at full health, right? And
Oh
then
yeah,
just
that
a
makes
bunch
this
of different
position
games.
so much harder for you. Wow.
But that was just like kind of lucky on my part. I don't remember if that was like a roll or if I was guaranteed to live. But yeah, it was definitely close.
That is so lucky. God damn. Fez comes in, soaks that the Will-O-Wisp as intended, really.
Yeah, here he hits Roost, and I'm just hitting the Icy Wind to get the speed drop.
Mhm.
I could have U-turned there, but I was afraid that he was going to keep spamming Whisk, considering I have 3 physical attackers left.
Right.
So I'm like, I'll just stay in. I can just hit moves. I've
Yeah.
got a lot of special defense.
You
nothing
two roll
he
the
does
Toxic
really
Chain, which is really
Yeah.
nice.
And so here I'm fishing for Toxic Chain, and 2, I'm content with just getting the speed drops on whatever comes in.
Mhm.
Like I really don't mind either way.
And I think also what's kind of cool is after you saw, like, if I'm you and I see that Scorching Sand didn't do, like, any damage really, you can kind of just leave it there and just sort of just keep getting that chip damage on a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm okay to stay in here. I hit
There's-
Stone Edge over CC here, because if he switches into the Moltres for whatever reason, it'll kill.
Right.
I get a crit, and then I miss one immediately afterwards. So
You know,
that
that's
kinda
only
balances
fair.
out.
It's only fair.
Yeah.
This
I was like,
pain
"Alright,
split,
I'll take,
that pain split did kind of just nothing. Leveled out like 3%, 4%. As a
Yeah.
gunk misses again.
another Gunk Shot, which is a little bit sad.
There's
But
the
I can pick up a
Moon.
KO with Blast, yeah.
Oh yeah, at 30%, Moon will do it. And all that's left is
not
this
much to say
Moltres
there.
on like less than on okay, 79%, sure.
It's at 80, but it's toxic, so he's
Yeah, there's a
you know,
timer. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
there's a hard timer on this, even if he keeps roosting. So at this point, I'm just like, I know that I have the defense between this Fez and my Zamazenta to live out the the toxic.
Right.
So it's kind of pretty much it. Here, I just go for the
Just click
water
it,
move.
just to
Yeah. I know the water move is gonna do like 40% anyway, so
And there it is.
yeah.
Nicely done. I like the
Yeah.
game plan actually, and it's kind of fun having you know, the team builder actually in the call. Convenient.
Yeah.
Saves me the trouble.
Yeah.
I actually was able to take a break for a second.
Yeah, I had 4 Scarfers on this team. This is actually Scarf Zamazenta as well, which
What
is
the
why I was
fuck?
spamming so much there. Yeah, and Scarf Zama was explicitly in case he was able to get a Dragon Dance on the Roaring Moon. I would have a way to revenge it.
Oh, fair. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so like obviously Zama faster than everything on his team at base, but if you got a DD off, like, my only real recourse for that is something like Vacuum Wave from Ursaluna or Scarf on Zama.
Right. Kind of neither of those are great.
Yeah, and it's like I don't want to have to commit a move slot to Vacuum Wave on setup Ursaluna because I really want the recovery and I really want the 2 moves, the 2 attacks.
Yeah, your 2 main stabs and CM, or in Moonlight rather.
Yeah, so
Fair. Yeah.
I opted for the fast mon with Scarf just in case.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. Really good
Yeah.
assessment actually.
And I got to click buttons with Ursaluna because every
Hey.
game that I've played it's gotten to click like 1 button at most.
Yeah, I think it was our game. That was like week 3 or 4 or something.
Yeah,
It clicked this one move. I'm like, okay.
It was only in our game that I was able to do anything with it, and every other game it hasn't come out, so I got to play with it. Yay!
Yeah, bear. And oh my god, it really just tore a hole through Haku's team.
Yeah,
Sort of what happens though when you have a +3 bear. I mean,
yeah, that does happen occasionally.
I think for Haku, really the main thing is like, I actually feel like his team was actually pretty good into your roster. It's just he had a few very odd, I think, positioning moves. And also forgot that Dragon Tail is negative priority.
Yeah, that was kind of a big mistake. I was expecting, like, I was actually very scared of this Archaludon in the team builder because I was doing the math and like there wasn't really a good way for me to survive, like a Draco Meteor plus like something else with the Ursaluna before I could get Calm Mind up. Like the Archaludon just does so much damage, and Ursaluna's special defense is not really that high.
Yeah, even with investment, it's not going to do him any favors.
Yeah, so I was surprised to not see Draco Meteor. Aura Sphere was like a good move, but I mean I don't really like it. I guess it's good into my team, right? It hits
Yeah, on
Ursa,
paper.
it hits Namrod, it hits Diesel.
But I feel like also, on the same token, like, Archaludon doesn't really mind just sitting in front of any of those, the mons that it would hit with Aura Sphere. Like, it doesn't give a shit
Yeah.
about either Sneasel or Samurott. So going probably Draco was just better. And if you had the Rain team, especially for Samurott, he could have just gone Electroshock, or Electroshock and you just die.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and Electroshock's really good into the rest of my team, right? And Draco's good into
everything else, basically.
yeah, Draco's good into Ursula and everything else. Yeah, so
Like,
I was kind of surprised to not see that, but again, that's just how it goes.
I think really the comments were done outside of this stream and outside of the post game where, I think if he played the Rain Core more, I think he may find some easier success with his team, because it's a rain team at the end of the day, but he hasn't played it as a rain team, which is.
And there's definitely times to not take the Rain Core, but I think it's so strong that like if the mons are there, and like you know that your moves are going to be good into your opponents, like even if they have like certain counters, like I know we talked about, obviously Electroshock gets walled by Ursaluna,
Right.
but like even with that, even if I switch in Ursaluna on the Electroshock, you still get your +1, and then the Draco Meteor will just KO.
Right. Oh, even more. Yeah, even more. So it'll just kill you for free.
So like it's there are times to not take rain, but I mean with this type of lineup, especially with the Archaludon, I think it's so good that like unless your opponent has multiple answers to the Archaludon or to like your other rain mons, you should probably take it.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely in agreement with that. Like, it just, it looks too good not to take. So I'm kind of hoping that, Haku is able to get the Rain Core off the ground, I think it'd be really fun to see that more often. And I think it may give him just a few easier wins. Like, it's just so... And to me, running this as the Rain Core in a way, as it's intended, just feels really good. So we'll see if he runs it that way.
Yeah, Rain's a fun archetype.
The fuck? Sorry, I am looking for a thing real quick. Shit, it's not there. Fuck.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Bell. Sorry guys, bear with me for just about a second. Just grabbing a thing, because I'm going to need it for after the stream. And I didn't want to forget. Well, guess I gotta clean up my table later. I am missing a thing, but that's alright. That's what after stream is for. But anyway, yeah, no, good game. You played that quite well. And I just want to see Haku run Rain for once. And I guarantee he'll be like, but I did play Rain. I ran Rain Dance Moltres. I'll hit him in the face with a fucking shoe. That's not Rain. That don't count.
No rain.
Rainless? No rain?
No weather.
Fucking no weather. Fucking Megamind meme him. But like in all honesty, I think I agree. Rain, it's so good. I think he has to get it out of his head that it's too linear, because it might be, but also like there's nothing wrong with linear if it just wins you the game, you know what I mean? Like, okay, they can see it's like in Majora's Mask, you know? You can see the moon is about to fall and kill you, but also like Well, if you can't stop it, you'll die anyway. So, does it matter that
Yeah.
it's so telegraphed? Sometimes not. Um, but we'll see how he plays his last games. And speaking of last games, we have one more, and it is, what is this? It's Cat Bomb versus Jash, and I'll just say it. I didn't have much faith in this game, because Cat Bomb has really been shining real hard this season. Sweaty fucking meta player. But also, like, I feel like the drafts themselves, you know, lined up really difficultly. Like, I think Jash's draft it's so weak to a bunch of stuff that Cat Bomb just has, like, coincidentally, that it makes it a really tough game. And
Yeah.
that's sort of where I'm kind of coming from. Like, wow, this is gonna be a little rough to watch because, Jesus, Rillaboom,
Yeah. This
Azumarill,
was-
like,
Yeah, this was definitely a really hard matchup in the draft phase. So I helped to build this team for Josh, and I think I did the best I could, given what I what I was working with.
yeah, given what was available, I
Yeah.
think this is this team does look quite, you know, it actually looks pretty good.
And I think it ended up working out decent. Well, we'll see in a little bit. I know that there's a couple of mistakes in this game. One of them was a knowledge check, and one of them was just a misplay. But yeah, I mean, this game ended up being pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for. I want Josh to take some W's for sure. You know,
Yeah.
definitely has had it a bit rough this season, and you know, I hope for him, like genuinely, I want it to turn around. But we'll take a look at this game in just a second here. Sorry, just moving some stuff around on the back end here. We'll get the game rolling. Just kidding, we'll look at the teams real quick. Cat Bomb is bringing almost the exact same thing, same team. I remember him bringing it against me. Except he's brought Vulpix. Obviously this is to set Snow for Kiram. Kiram can then just win the game kind of off that. The Espather has shown up every week, and it's killed everything almost every week, except me, and I think JC also got another KO on it.
Yeah.
Stupid ass Osh fucking that thing. Yeah, lose to a Dunsparce, idiot. Ha, got him. I'm coping, by the way, chat. Just trying to
That's
get over
fine.
the mental distress, but that's what the therapist is for. But yeah, Spother has just been such a rock star for Cat Bomb. It's kind of just been like a cleaner, you know. It shows up and just ends games on its own. So we'll see if it does the same thing for another goddamn week in a row or whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, Cat Bomb is bringing just a few good stuff. King Gambit is here, late game cleaner. Ditto actually makes another appearance as just kind of a fun, I copy your setup mod. And I suspect it's going to copy probably like the Glacier, because this usually runs like Curse or something. And then Great Tusk is his spinner, and just a really, really good physical attacker. Just kind of punching through stuff. And for Jash's team, he's got an actually interesting Psychic Core with the Indeedee Deoxys. I suspect to click Expanding Force, because that's kind of the best thing it gets. Hippowdon's here for Sand. Notably, no other Sand Enjoyer on his team, except I guess Heatran. But the Sand actually does apply a good amount of pressure. Let's, get some chip on the Espathra through substitutes, which I know Espathra has been running quite a bit this season. So we'll see if that kind of pays off in the end here.
Yeah, the funny thing about Josh's draft is that for as bad as it is on the type matchup chart, it has the distinct advantage in this particular matchup of being able to override the Vulpix Snow with Hippowdon, and being able to override the Rillaboom's Grassy Terrain with Psychic Terrain. Obviously, Rillaboom didn't come out here, but for one, denying the recovery from the Grassy Terrain, causing the damage from the Sandstorm, and then also blocking priority from things like King Gambit in particular, and even things like Azu Aqua Jet is pretty powerful, right? So there's things that Jash had to work with, but still it's still a rough matchup just based on what Cat Bomb's Pokemon can do.
Right. And that's actually a really good point. I didn't even consider the fact that Jash's pool actually has some really good tools there. I kind of wrote them off as just kind of being it's probably bad, but
yeah,
no, that's actually really good to point out. And I'm kind of hoping those tools kind of pay off here, and we'll see about that in just a bit. And rounding out Josh's team, we'll just kind of breeze through that a little bit here. He's got along his Glastrier again. I assume it's just another setup variant because it's kind of what Glastrier does best at, because it's so slow it can't really do anything else. And it's paired with that Thunderous Therian and the Heatran. Heatran I feel like is a bit of an odd pick, but also I think with the right setup it actually does have a good spot into Cat Bomb's team, so we'll see how that goes. I've been, to be honest, the thing with me and Heatran this season has just been I've been making jokes about it being worse than Kricketune, just based on our MVP race. So low-key, I'm kind of hoping Jash can give it a W, so it kind of digs itself out of that little, its current position.
Yeah.
But we shall see how that goes. Sorry, 1 second. Something fell. I picked a weird time to kind of rifle through some things on my desk, but I must apologize to everyone who can hear it. I have to prepare for a event that I am attending, and I'm just getting things together. What the huh? I have no recollection of this, but apparently I found a smartwatch on my desk.
Nice.
Cool, it's dead. Alright, we'll just put that off to the side, I guess. I don't even wear watches anymore. And to be honest, I kind of hate smartwatches, so I don't know why it's here. I have, no memory of ever getting it, so I guess that's maybe something else to bring up to the therapy session. No memory of watch acquisition. How do you help me?
No.
But come on now. Alright, let's get into this game here. Here we go! Hippie, wahoo, yahoo. There's the Vulpix lead. Actually, interestingly enough, saying the Glastrier, it gave it a defense boost just until that Terra change. Glastrier going for those curses as the Vulpix gets the Veil. And there's the pass straight into Spathra? Interesting. I guess that's actually a good read here, because into the Kyurem would probably just eat shit.
Yeah,
Spathra,
from the Terra Fairy Terra Blast.
Yeah, Spathra does go for the setup
yeah,
there.
Yeah, get a sub, but here's the taunt from Glastrier. And I love this. This stored power does no kind of damage.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually.
Only a 1-speed taunt.
Yeah.
Ice Cold Crash also breaks sub through the Aurora Veil.
That's so good, actually.
Yeah.
That's huge information.
Ice Cold Crash doing decent amount through the Veil. But now we have... I don't know what that Ice Shard was about. But
I suspect it may have been just the repositioning tool. Just sack it to get a clean switch or something. That's my guess. I don't know if
Yeah, I would assume so. You're
if
trying
it's
to get a
not, then that's really
slow pivot.
awkward.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and Capcom locks into Icicle Crash here, um, but is losing the race to the Terra Fairy Terra Blast actually, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, sort of an issue there with Ditto, because it's not getting the boosted offensive power. Um, it gets picked up eventually.
Yeah, does end up picking up the Glacier with the Great Tusk, Headlong Rush. Um, but all in all, I mean, he gets the two annoying small mons out of the way, right? And Ditto being gone is pretty big, because Ditto copying Thunderous, Deoxys, or even Heatran is pretty good.
Oh god, yeah. If that got away with copying one of the big endgame cleaners there, that would spell doom real quick, I would say.
Yeah. We see Indeedee go out into Hippowdon here, which is great. Just threatening the Gambit, not letting it get that sweep.
Definitely, yeah, I
High
really
horsepower
like that.
There's a decent amount to Tusk. This is the first big misplay here, in my opinion. Setting out the Heatran in front of the Great Tusk, there's not really much for it to do here.
Yeah, it just sort of dies for free.
This is in my opinion, the most critical mistake of the game, because this Heatran, kind of going into the team builder a bit, this is a very heavily specially defensive Assault Vest Heatran that was meant to be a check to the Espathra. So throwing away not only just the Heatran, but the Espathra check as well in this case.
Oh yeah, that's
pretty
huge.
rough. Yeah. Then we get Espathra coming out again. Substitute, or the Encore doesn't hit on the switch in, but this is where Josh didn't know that Encore hits through sub.
Yeah, that's that's just the knowledge check, unfortunately.
Yeah, so he ended up switching out here. Unfortunately, leads to the Espathra being able to set up here. Which, yeah, he is able to break the sub, but at this point, we're getting to see Espathra do Espathra things.
Yeah, this is unfortunately, it's looking like another case of a bit too little too late here.
Yeah, and so that was like I mean, knowledge check on the Encore ends up not really working out here, which is very unfortunate. Could have been a much closer game, if not even a win. But yeah, just not knowing that information is pretty key, and we had a long discussion after the game about that.
Yeah, I did see you two sitting in a call.
Yeah, you'll see part of this, you'll see part of it in the chat here once in the post game chat when it comes up at the end of this replay. But also, yeah, just like yeah, not knowing that ends up being oh, actually, it only records the first part of the chat. But yeah, we had a long chat.
Yeah, I remember actually being there for that the conversation, and yeah, it was just literally him not knowing it, unfortunately. But oh damn, honestly, still a pretty damn good game though.
Yeah, and very well played. I think leading the Glacier was a very bold choice, but it ended up working out, and you know, kind of carried him through towards that mid game. And yeah, just unfortunately wasn't able to close out on the late game with the Espathra coming out.
Yeah, unfortunately. But oh man, still though, really actually well done, I would say, from Josh there. Just couple rough plays, but you know, honestly, still kind of a good show for him, I would say. You know,
yeah, for sure.
I think this is another game where he brought, you know, a player, I would say a fairly unsuspecting player, brought Cat Bomb really close to actually the edge of defeat here. You know, these HP totals I feel like are a little deceptive because they're kind of high, but you know, one straight hit, or you know, if the Glacier was allowed to stay up, or if the Heatran checked the Espathra correctly, Like,
Yeah.
this game would have been way different. Either super close or, as you said, potentially a W for Jash.
Yeah, much closer than the 3-0 would suggest, for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. I agree. I feel like really there's not a whole lot else, much else to say about that game. Just it was one kind of almost like in my game against Siege. It was one bad turn and a knowledge check that kind of just flopped the game to the other side.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I'm hoping Josh is able to take this and kind of run with it for the last 2 weeks, because he's not out of the runnings. He still has a fair shot at to playoffs. So I think
Yeah,
if
he's
he
got
ends,
a chance for sure.
I think if he ends 4-4 with the pretty good overall record, he actually he could meet you there. He could be in it.
Good. Yeah, he could.
But we'll see how that ends up going. I am very excited though. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the last 2 weeks, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it's pretty close between like the entire middle, like 7 or 8. So
yeah, so the race is tight, and it's not it's not over till it's over, as they say. So we'll see how this week goes. I have my game against Mox, still not scheduled, but I gotta figure out a time to do that. It's gonna be a little tough because I'm just so busy, but I'm hoping it'll be a good game. At the very least, I can guarantee it'll be funny. But you'll have to take my word for it until the game actually happens.
yeah, I'm looking forward to this week's games. You got a lot of fun matchups this week as well.
Definitely. Hoping to see some good wins out of a few players. I swear to God, if Big Honey keeps his win streak, it's gonna be kind of insane, but also just really, really cool.
If Big Honey's the one to stop Cat Bomb's win streak, I'm gonna flip.
Oh my God,
That'd be so epic.
I would have to, I maybe have to invite him over for dinner, and I'll make him fajitas or something. Like, that'd be just insane.
Real.
But we'll see. We'll just peep the week 7 schedule just to give the full view here. It's you versus Siege this week, which will be super fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That'll be cool. JC versus Lemons will be a pretty fun game as well. And I think it'll be a good chance for Lemons to see, if he's kind of got his nerves under control, if he's got his positioning knowledge kind of where, in a better spot. He's got a chance to potentially take that game.
Yeah.
Hakurai versus Jash will be really funny, actually. It'll be interesting to see who preps for what in that game, because I think it's going to be one of those, I prepared for this and you didn't bring it. Probably from both sides. So it'll be really funny to see how that ends up shaking. And as well, we talked about Haku having that rain option. I think, unironically, this is a great week for rain. Because you want to fight that weather against that Hippowdon, and what better way than just making it water? Like,
yeah, you can fight the weather war. I mean, obviously the rain core pretty good into all the water weaknesses on that team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think out of Jash's team, he's only got a couple things that wouldn't mind the rain. And even
if they
the
play
things
later in the week, I will say Jash does have a lot of trades lined up actually.
Oh.
He's spending the last 4 of his trades dropping the Quillfish, the Tatsugiri, Heatran, and the Indeedee.
Oh, interesting.
In favor of Houndstone, Grafai, Flamigo, and Primarina.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so Houndstone being a second potential Sand Rusher. Obviously very threatening in its own right. With, Choice Poltergeist is obviously just a silly move that you can hit anytime.
Oh yeah, I think the Houndstone was the Sand Sweeper he wanted from the start, but he lost it. It was sniped, and I think that was really funny. My only thought was, after it became available, he never picked it up sooner. I was kind of hoping he would, but I mean, hey, better late than never, right?
Yeah. But most importantly, he's picking up this Primarina here, which is just a good bulky water type to, kind of
Oh
soothe
yeah.
his water weakness.
Oh yeah. And
So
soothe as well is a good choice of words there because of Primaria's hidden ability. Um, whatever the fucking called, the shit that makes sound moves water type or
yeah,
whatever.
liquid voiced.
Yeah, liquid
Yeah.
voice. Yeah, I think that's gonna really pay off. You know, given I think a couple of his last opponents really like to use substitute in their repertoire, and what better way to beat sub by just screaming through it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Real.
So it'll be. I think that's a great pickup for sure, and coupled with like it can just be such a good setup sweeper. It's so bulky with a couple combines under its belt. It can just kind of go out of not quite as out of control as like Quaquavel for instance, but I've seen setup Primarina just kind of go off, and
Yeah,
just end
for
the
sure.
game on its own. So I'm hoping Jash will get the opportunity to do so likewise. It'll be really cool to see if he can pull it off, and I'm hoping he can.
Yeah, definitely. Would be nice to see.
And as far as the rest of those matches, me versus Mox will be funny. I've got a plan for that one. I work on my team for that. And another fun one actually is the Battle of the Brothers with Blue Black versus Nook.
Oh yeah.
This will be just a silly matchup. And one that will be very fascinating because they're both running Sun. So I'm not sure.
The two Sun teams.
So like, do we think one of them is not going to run Sun and the other will, or do we think like maybe neither of them run Sun and it's just really awkward? It's gonna be funny.
I think it would be hilarious if they both brought their Sun abusers, thinking the other one was going to bring their Sun setter, and neither of them did.
Yeah, and now they're just playing this sort of weird slap fight with like an unboosted Walking Wake versus an unboosted Venusaur, and they're just sort of staring at each other like.
We'll have like slow Venusaur versus slow Lilligant, or
yeah,
versus slow Lilligant.
Just be like, all right, sure, okay.
Oh,
that'll just be such a funny matchup. I can't wait.
that'd be hilarious.
Obviously, the more boring outcome is they both run Sun, and we kind of go ugh, as they kind of just bounce around each other.
No, I think the Sun Mirror is actually pretty interesting because, like, you know that you're going to want to leverage your Sun Sweepers, but so does your opponent, right? So you have to play around, like,
Yeah, so it becomes a game of, like, do I set the Sun now, or do I hold off for a few turns? Let him set it for me? Like, it'll still be that kind of mind game, for sure.
And especially because, like, their Sun Sweepers collectively are not particularly good into one another, right?
That's a good point, yeah.
Obviously, Wake and Gouging Fire both threaten each other with Dragon-type moves.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Lilligant-Venusaur matchup, you have Triple Axle to kill the Venusaur, and you have things like Weather Ball or Sludge Bomb to take out this Lilligant with.
That's true. So it's this weird, like, it's almost like a Cold War scenario where they both have, the guns aimed at each other's heads. And it's gonna be like, all right, who sets Sun first?
Come in, but they kind of can't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting either way, regardless of if they both bring Sun or not.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely going to be a funny one.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And then we have Kick versus Jace of Spades. A cool matchup to see for sure. My only hope is that Kick doesn't, underestimate Jace. Jace did just pick up a win, and honestly, his losses were, in my opinion, never that catastrophic. Like, he's never lost, like, 6-0.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, I don't think he's actually...
Because week 1 was a 2-0 loss. Week 2 was a 3.
Yeah, the worst he's lost by is 4, right?
Yeah, and that's not that bad. That's just like a slightly, below average game for a loss. So, honestly, he's looking like he's a competitor still for sure. And he's gonna definitely. I hope he kind of gives Kick a run for his money. It'll be an interesting game to see. And the last one, and the one I'm honestly like edge of my seat excited for, is Big Honey versus Cat Bomb. I so badly want Cat Bomb to Big Honey just take a W just out of nowhere, like
That
third
would
week
be-
in a row,
yeah.
unprecedented, snags a win, dethrones the the 8-0 sweep for one of
Yeah.
our top players. Like that would be ridiculously funny, and I so badly want it to happen.
Yeah, that'd be crazy too, right? I mean, just like even from the perspective of Big Honey, obviously a new player to competitive Pokemon, uh, and just taking down like one of the more experienced players in this league to end their long win streak, right?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
it's gonna be super cool, and I just want it to happen so badly, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll just have to wait and see. And I think with that, we'll just call it there. Thanks for joining me in the
course.
booth.
Always glad to be here.
And to chat, thanks so much. And wow, I can actually say this. And to YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a great time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. There's no Patreon, so you don't have to worry, because I don't make money off this. Life is a struggle.
Subscribe though.
But
Just
do subscribe. It's free. That part's free. I can't even show memberships because I have like 4 subs, but you can make it 5.
Okay. Our goal is to get there. We're aiming for monetization.
Hell yeah! I'll check back in 2027. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging out and for watching. I don't outro here. It's a mess. I'm tired. I'm gonna go get a glass of water or something, and we'll see you guys next time. Most likely, either in the form of the next recap stream, or catch us live when we get a chance. Probably. All right. Bye bye.
Peace.